6:35. I call this meeting to order. I have asked Director Dendel to open us in prayer this morning.
Bow your heads with me. Lord, we just thank you for the day to come before you, Lord. Take care of some of the business of the city, Lord. Help us make wise decisions that will benefit the community long term. Lord, we thank you for the rain earlier this week. Lord, continue to bless us with that. Thank you for all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Moving on to public comment, issues or items that are not on the agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium, begin by stating their name, and limit remarks to less than 3 minutes. Board members may request that a discussed item be placed on a future agenda. The board takes public comment on all regular agenda items during the discussion of those items. Are there any public comment this morning?
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt Lewis. I'm a citizen of San Angelo. During my day job, I'm the CEO of the San Angelo Area Foundation.
Morning.
I was very fortunate 20 years ago to be a part of a group of citizens that helped get the half-cent sales tax passed, and was very blessed to be one of the first directors sitting where you are today 20 years ago for 8 years until 2007. And I learned a lot about economic development and the half-cent sales tax. And I want to pause and just say thank you to each and every one of you for serving our community. You're being entrusted with a lot of money to make our community a better place to live. And I just want to say thank you for that, first and foremost. I would like to bring to mind an item that perhaps you would consider putting on a future agenda. Perhaps ask staff to do some investigating and planning for a potential way to help with the project. The project I'm coming before you has to do with the tornado that hit the Bradford neighborhood. Predominantly a low-income neighborhood that, as you all know, on May 18th was hit by a devastating tornado. Typically, if this tornado had hit some parts of our community like Bentwood, we would everybody would have insurance, everybody would have rallied around taking care of cleanup. Our city and the volunteers in our community, but especially our city, did a great job helping clean up. But now that the cleanup is over, what is left behind are citizens that are in great need. I bring this before you because part of what the half-cent sales tax is allowed to do in the statute, as I understand it, as well as language that was put in the ballot and has continued to stay in subsequent ballots, is to help with affordable housing. There are a variety of ways, and I'm not here trying to propose a way. I would just say to Costa DC and to staff is to investigate some of those ways. That perhaps, for example, that if a person met the qualification of low income, of what half-cent sales tax could be used for, that there could be assistance provided in rebuilding their home. We created a disaster recovery fund and started accepting donations on May the 18th and have accepted over $78,000, and we've put over $50,000 of that already back out into the hands of the victims trying to recover. And during this period of time, we've done a lot of block walking and talking to folks, and we discovered that over half of the folks in the Bradford neighborhood do not have homeowners insurance. And we can come up with all kinds of reasons and responses of what we might want to say to them, well, you should have. Well, the reality is we have a low-income neighborhood that is dramatically affected by the effects of this tornado. And without our citizens and without our communities extending a helping hand to assist them, we're going to have an opportunity of having a blighted neighborhood if we don't invest back into that neighborhood that needs help. Now, some folks that have insurance, they're rebuilding. Some folks that didn't have insurance had savings and they're rebuilding. There is a roof replacement program that the city already administers. It has to be income qualified. So there are programs out there. There is work being done. There is donations being collected, and we're continuing to work with other foundations to try to bring more money in to help our neighbors. That's what we do at the foundation, is help our community. But I wanted to put this bug in your ear just to ask staff to explore opportunities. Let's let's fill yourselves out maybe at a future agenda, and let's look at ideas of how we could leverage a small amount of half-cent sales tax dollars in the future to help our friends and neighbors who are in great need, so that we don't wake up and find ourselves in a year or two having several empty homes that have been unable to be rehabilitated. Some of them are going to be bulldozed. That's the whole purpose of that one allocation, was that if we lift up the blighted neighborhoods, that is part of economic development to make our community a better place for all people of San Angelo, and I would like to encourage you to think about that.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. Salas, do you have anything to?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. To add to that, or can I not ask that?
In the form of public comments, yes, he can go ahead.
Good morning, Bob Salas, Neighborhood and Family Services Director. We can certainly look at that. There is an opportunity to invest some funds, perhaps borrow upfront to meet this need, to pay back later. Take some, maybe a portion, an annual portion can be taken out over the 10-year time frame to provide some funds to meet this need. That's what I would probably recommend, something like that. I'll do some research and I'll come back to the board with a recommendation if the board is interested in doing that.
I believe so. Any objection to that? Okay. Staff, can y'all help with that? All right, great. Matt, thank you. Bob, thank you very much. Before I move on, do I need to pull agenda item D? Any more public comment? Seeing none, I will now close public comment. Oh, wait, no. Open it back up.
Good morning, Board. Nora Navarez. I just wanted to remind our public who's viewing us right now that we do have our business plan competition going on. So our first deadline is August the 5th, which on that day, the entry form and the 2-page business overview is due online. So it's still going on. So anybody interested, please give myself or ASU, Small Business Development Center, a call so that way we can assist them. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Nora. Any further public comment? Okay, I will now close public comment. Now, do I need to pull agenda item D? We're going to pull agenda item D off of the agenda. Moving on to consent agenda. Consider approving May 22nd, 2019 meeting minutes. Consider approving the necessary corporation disbursements, and consider approving the May 19 financial statements. Do I have a motion?
Move for approval of consent items A, B, and C.
Motion by Director Dendel. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Cummings. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to regular agenda. A, presentation of the Principal LED BREP video, presentation by Shannon Scott, Business Retention and Expansion Coordinator. Good morning.
Good morning, Board. As you might recall, during the beginning of this year, we had spoken to y'all about trying out some new marketing techniques for our BREP program. So in the past, we had done more traditional marketing techniques such as radio advertising, TV, newspaper, and things of that nature. We weren't really seeing such a great return. So what we wanted to do is go out and get some testimonials from some of our BREP clients that had received incentives. And if some of y'all might have seen the BREP video already with Principal LED, but again, we were fortunate enough that they allowed us to come out and film their new manufacturing operations and kind of get a little bit of insight into what they do and get a feel of what our incentives had actually helped them receive. So I just want to say thanks again to our Public Information Office. They were very underutilized for a long time, and we teamed up with them, Anthony Wilson, Brian Groves, and AJ Deerdorf, to go out and film again this production line, this new manufacturing line that Principal LED was able to implement with the help of the incentives that y'all approved for them. So we want to show y'all, for the folks that haven't seen it, again, the video that was filmed and the testimonial that they gave in appreciation for BREP in the city and the incentives that they received. So we'll go ahead and roll that.
Principal LED is one of the shining stars of San Angelo's economic development efforts. A manufacturer of LED configurations for outdoor commercial signage, the company employs more than 80 people, produces 1.5 million linear feet of product each month, and is closing in on the top market spot in its industry. And now, with the help of the City of San Angelo Development Corporation, it's expanding its spacious digs at the industrial park and looking to hire scores more workers. Principal LED's growth has been aided by the city's business retention and expansion program, commonly called BREP.
So they've made a decision that they want to make San Angelo their home for their business, and we want to, again, nurture that growth and encourage future growth for similar industries.
The program offers financial incentives to help local businesses expand. That might involve capital investment, hiring more personnel, or a combination of the two. The assistance can take the form of grants, tax rebates, reimbursement of development fees, or some other monetary incentive.
You know, the one thing that a lot of people think when they think, oh, this is some agreement with the city, it's going to be really complex. And, you know, that just hasn't been my experience. The city's really done a good job of making it as simple as possible.
BREP is funded through the half-cent sales tax for economic development. Its incentives target specific industries. Those include manufacturing, transportation and warehousing, information technology, and mining, including oil and gas. The assistance is helping brothers Blake and Brian Vincent, Principal LED's founders, to bring the company's manufacturing operation from China to San Angelo.
I don't think we'd be here as quickly as we were if we didn't have that. We've been fortunate a couple times to get additional seeding or funding in order to help grow our business. So I think we'd eventually get here where we're at, but it would be a lot slower process and a little more painful. So we're extremely blessed for what we've received.
The program also helps retain companies that may be contemplating leaving San Angelo.
Yeah, we looked around, but I don't think we'd now where we're at and what the city's done for us, and we'll never move from here. This is home for sure.
We want manufacturing jobs and we want companies to come into San Angelo, but certainly we shouldn't underestimate the value of business retention and expansion.
Local businesses interested in learning more about BREP can visit the city's website or contact the Economic Development Department. For SATV, I'm Anthony Wilson.
So with that said, we've actually reached out to several other of our companies that have received incentives, and they're on board to go out and allow our PIO to film and do testimonials. So I think we're on the right track. Again, what we've seen is a lot of the referrals that we've been getting have been from word of mouth from companies like Principal LED that have promoted the program. So it seems to be working, and we're very excited about this new technique and having somebody like Principal LED support our incentives and our program. So
Well done.
Is this video available on social media?
it is. It's on YouTube. Mm-hmm.
Can we get it on Facebook?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We'll also, we're in the process of developing a joint economic development website, and it'll be posted on there as well.
This is something on Facebook that could be shared and shared and shared and shared and just
Absolutely.
let it run with it. So, well done. Any other comments? All right. Thank you, Shannon. Don't go anywhere. Moving into B, public hearing regarding the use of.
Can I add something real quick? So the video actually is already on the city's Facebook page. It's on all of the economic development websites as well. So it has done very well on the city's Facebook page. So anyway, just wanted to add that.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on to line item B, public hearing regarding the use of sales and use tax funds in the amount not to exceed $60,000 to provide an economic development incentive to Jack P. Graves and Kimberly D. Graves, DBA Jay's Deer and Wild Game Processing, for a project related to business enterprises that create or retain primary jobs as authorized for a Type B corporation under Local Government Code, Chapter 504, Subchapter C. Presentation by Shannon Scott, Business Retention and Expansion Coordinator.
Thank you. So as again, you might recall that this was a project that was approved at the May 24th Costa DC meeting and subsequently ratified by City Council on June 4th. And of course, according to Section 505.159 of the Local Government Code, we are required to conduct a public hearing on the project after it is approved. And so I'll just run through and give y'all again a quick overview of what the project entails. So they currently have 4 employees. They anticipate hiring up to 4, but at least 4, but up to 15 additional employees within the next 3 years, having an average salary of $35,000. They plan on investing about $350,000 in a new facility and $200,000 in equipment for a total capital investment of $550,000. So what we are, what you guys have all approved per the last meeting is once that capital investment of $550,000 is made, they will receive a $45,000 grant. And then, of course, they must retain the 4 employees that they currently have, and then we can incentivize up to $1,000 per full-time equivalent for the additional 15 that they plan on creating. So with the $45,000 in capital investment and the $15,000 for job creation, that would be a total incentive package of $60,000. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions. If not, I would ask that you open the public hearing.
Questions from the board? I will now open the public hearing. I will now close the public hearing. Thank you, Shannon. Moving on to line item C, 2018 Annual Report, presentation made by Guy Andrews, Director of Economic Development.
Thank you. And it is correct. It does say 2018 Annual Report, and it seems a little unusual to me to be waiting till June to present this type of report. So one of the things that in trying to constantly improve our processes is the 2019 report's going to be moved to January. That makes a lot more sense. And then hopefully with the periodic reports that you receive and that sort of thing, you'll be well versed in doing that. Each of you has been provided a paper copy of the annual report that you can peruse at your leisure. I've extracted just a few things out of that report that I would like to just cover with you and those that may not be familiar with what transpired in 2018. In our business retention expansion program, during 2018, there were 489 new jobs and indirect jobs created. 130 direct and indirect jobs were retained in that program. It resulted in $129.5 million in annual economic output and $7 million in capital improvements. The staff met with 10 companies to explain the BREP program and discuss future growth plans for companies. And then the meetings culminated in the preparation of economic development agreements and incentives ranging from $5,000 to $1.5 million. One of the companies that we incentivized was Engine Pro Machine. They received incentives of $5,975 in a form of interest rate buy down. Also within the program, in conjunction with Tom Green and Goodfellow Air Force Base, we provided $1.5 million incentive in order to help fund an $8.8 million renovation of the base. And the renovation allows Goodfellow to offer Class 1 security and cyber threats, which is currently only offered in Virginia. We also help fund through a matching grant. We provided $167,769 to Howard College for construction trades program, and that program is still ongoing. For our U.S. Customs and Border Protection and Air Marine operations, we've provided incentives to them as well, and you can read about that as well. In the business factory, we had 2 tenants in 2018 in our business factory. We've had 102 companies in the incubator since inception. We've had 13 full-time and 1 part-time employee in there. And our return on investment, total gross sales that were provided were $55 million with a payroll of $34 million for those companies. Our business plan competition was held in 2018. We had actually just 1 winner in that competition that was awarded $50,000. That was a Rock Your World Decorative Concrete. And as Norm mentioned today, we're in progress now and taking applications for our 2019 business plan as well. In terms of infrastructure and capital investment during the year, there were 7 total tiers agreements were executed, and the total projected capital investment of $2.4 million. There were 4 tiers agreements in our north zone, $1.27 million, and then 3 tiers agreements in our south zone for a total of $1.15 million. And those included the Taco Bueno properties, Chicken Farm Art Center, San Angelo Insurance, the old Central Firehouse Bed and Brew that recently opened, and then the ones that are still in progress include our Skyway Motel, 1 East 2 Hig Partnership Building, and Casa Decor. Capital improvements within our industrial park, Warren Caterpillar received their final inspection on a new facility that sits on 14.85 acres, and the total investment was about $12 million. AEP Transmission Center built about a 75,000 square foot building on approximately 52 acres. Total investment of approximately $20 million, including $589,000 in public infrastructure. Then the Economic Development Administration provided a grant for our industrial park of $1.25 million for infrastructure improvements for Phase 2. The City of San Angelo Planning Commission approved the revised preliminary plat of Phase 2 of the industrial park, and then $588,850 for Phase 2.1 of the industrial park, and extension of Gateway Drive water and sewer extension and constructions of a temporary low water crossing were approved. We also entered on August 7th into the airport master plan was approved, which includes approximately $121,000 for land use planning, feasibility, and infrastructure evaluation. We're actually going to have an update on that project tomorrow. Targeted marketing, and of course this is handled by the Chamber of Commerce, and so you've heard numerous reports about how successful they've been with the targeted marketing program, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but just to highlight U.S. Well Services increased 200 employees, $35.8 million in annual economic yield. Eon Energy, $130 million in capital improvements. SMC Global, which continues to expand, and as you well know, they just leased a 80,000 square foot facility, so they now have 140,000 square feet, but their economic yield is about $18.4 million. And then Recurrent Energy, $130 million capital investment. So that targeted marketing program has been more than successful. SARMA, you heard a lot about that. I won't go into detail on that, the objectives, but this is a brilliant program by the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce, and is headed up by Michael Looney. This has proven to be not only a great business retention and expansion program, but has resulted in recruitment of new businesses that you'll hear of in our 2019 report. So I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions from the board? I do like the idea of the annual report coming in January versus June, so I would like to see that happen, but anything else? Looks like a really good year. Looks like a positive thing for our economy, so.
It'll be better when you see the 2019 report. It'll blow this one away.
In just a few months.
Thank you.
Thanks, Guy. Moving on to line item E, consider resolution authorizing the use of sales and use tax funds in the amount not to exceed $1,100,000 to provide an economic development incentive to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Air and Marine Operations, CBPAMO, with participation by the City of San Angelo for a project authorized under Chapter 501 and 505 of the Local Government Code for Type B development corporations, and authorizing the board president to negotiate and execute a memorandum of understanding with the city providing for the economic development project terms. Presentation by Bob Schneeman.
Good morning. Thank you.
Morning.
As you just saw in the annual report, last year we had a design project for the Customs and Border Patrol Air and Marine Operations facility. That design has now been completed, and we have preliminary engineering cost estimates on what that project is actually going to, or what we think that project is going to cost. To give you a brief overview of the project, included ramp improvements in this area, a new storage building in this area, and then drainage improvements throughout sort of this area. And we've also included, it's getting pretty busy, isn't it? We've also included some additional pavement repair and replacement in that area. This is a little better look at it, removing and replacing that existing pavement. And one of the reasons that we're doing that is because not only does this piece of pavement serve the CBPAMO hangar for access here, but also aircraft moving to the paint hangar, which was another of our projects, are towed in this direction and out a gate over here. So that piece of pavement is getting an awful lot of use. And it's showing, y'all maybe remember when we were on the bus tour out there, it's pretty rough out there. And then there are some required drainage improvements. Customs and Border Patrol spent a great deal of money on hangar improvements, and they've also put in all of the antenna bases and towers, and the antennas are in the process of going in now. So it is something of a joint effort. Project itself, just to give you sort of a generalized breakdown of it, mobilization and pollution control was about almost $78,000. Of course, the biggest expense is paving and drainage at $822,000. The pre-engineered building comes in at $45,500. 10% contingencies based on those numbers is $95,000 for a total of $1.039 million. And that is for a pavement section throughout out there that is basically reinforced concrete paving. The engineers also did what they call a deductive option, which would be to do that same paving in asphalt instead of concrete, which is adequate but won't last as long normally. And that option would be $858,930 as opposed to the $1,039,585. And these again are engineers' estimates. Staff is asking that you approve the higher amount, but we will be coming back once the project has gone out to bid and gone through the city's purchasing process. We'll be coming back with actual bid numbers, and when we bid the project, we will bid it with both pavement options, so the board will have another chance to look at this and say, yeah, we want to go with this option as opposed to this. I'd open it for questions.
Question? What was the original number we were talking about here?
We really didn't have one. Originally, there was we were looking at probably $2.5 million in hangar improvements. As I said, the federal government came up with the money to do those improvements. They've done work on the roof. They've done interior renovations in the hangar. They've done a considerable amount running exterior utilities, putting in all these permanent facilities, and I emphasize permanent radar facilities for the operation of the unmanned aircraft. So we feel it's a really good project. And they're putting in a commitment themselves to stay here and continue to increase that operation. Board may recall they have about 60 employees now, and they're looking to hire probably another 60 when their expansion is complete. And those jobs are paying on average $120,000 a year. So they're very high-paying jobs, and the economic impact is substantial. This will be a memorandum of understanding between the city and Costa DC because the airport belongs to the city. So these will actually be improvements that even if Border Patrol were to move, Border Protection were to move out, these improvements would stay, obviously, and become part of the airport and be assets to the airport.
What else?
What's the time frame of, I mean, obviously, once it goes out to bid, I mean, is to not disrupt their missions and things of that nature. What's the turnaround time, basically?
It'll take probably a couple of months to get it out to bid. If it's on the street for 2 weeks to a month, that'd be, say, 3 months. Start construction, and it should be a relatively short construction time, but there will be some disruption, and we're going to have to work through maneuver areas and what have you while the construction is going on.
Because when we first talked, it was just taking care of that grassy area, and then now, I mean, it's great that there's a need for that extra. So I'd rather, I mean, I'm for, seeing all the improvements done at one time instead of in phases, and that way, if it's one disruption, it's just one disruption, and get everything fixed that needs to be fixed, because it's a high traffic, high use area. So
correct.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns from the board? All right, yeah, whenever we took our ride around out there, seeing all those satellites and all their antennas and everything set up over there in the grass on makeshift cinder blocks, we really needed to make this improvement.
The foundations are in, and they're putting the towers and everything up now. So
very good. All right. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
A second? Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
just for clarification, that is for the 1 point.
Right, 1 point, the higher, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, yeah. Go big or go home. Consider a resolution. Moving to line item F, consider a resolution authorizing the sale of approximately 12 acres of land out of the San Angelo Business and Industrial Park to Allen's Transport USA, Inc. at a price of $25,000 per acre, authorizing the board president to negotiate and execute a real estate sales contract in a form approved by the city attorney and recommending ratification by city council. Presentation by Bob Schneeman.
Thank you again. This has actually been a joint effort between Costa DC staff and chamber staff. This is the, I believe we were calling this Project Chem something or other that Michael Looney has been working on to bring this company to town. And apparently they are coming because they would like to buy 12 acres at the industrial park. This is the 12 acres that they're interested in. It's just east of Principal LED, and it leaves about 7 acres in between the two that would still be available for sale. Board may remember we were holding this property for a while for another company. They still are interested in San Angelo, but at this point we feel a bird in the hand, so to speak. And with the expansion into phase 2, there will be additional property available for the other company as well. The buyer is Allen's Transport USA. They are a Canadian-based company, but they have incorporated in the United States, and they have filed everything with the Texas Secretary of State. So they are duly licensed to operate in Texas. It's, of course, 12 acres plus or minus, depending on the actual survey. The price is $25,000 per acre, so the total price would be approximately $300,000, depending, again, on the actual survey once it's complete. And it should be very close to 12 acres because the surveyor can go cut 12 acres out of that. So. Open it for questions.
Questions, concerns? Got none. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Move for approval of the resolution.
Second. I have a second. Any other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
We will now move into closed session, executive session under the provision of Government Code, Title V, Open Government Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government, Chapter 551, Open Meeting, Subchapter D, exceptions to requirement that meetings be open under the following sections. Section 551.087, to deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the board is receiving from business prospects with whom economic development negotiations are being conducted, and discuss financial or other incentives relating to the following projects. Project 2019 S28, Project 2019 DB68, Project 2018 S224, Project Chem 1, SMC Global, Railport Marketing Program Development. B, Section 551.072, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if deliberation in an open meeting would have the detrimental effect on the position of the governmental body in negotiations with a third person. A vacant tract of land being 100 plus or minus acres out of the J.C. Matthews Abstract 8071 Survey 0178 and being portion of the property identified as tax ID number 61-08071-0711-000-00 located adjacent to the south right of way of Farm to Market 2105, approximately 1.5 miles west of Highway 277. Section C, Section 551.071. Consult with an attorney with the governmental body seeks the advice of its attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney of the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter regarded. Protection 1 contract. We are now in closed session. 10:09, we are out of executive session. We have no follow-up and administrative issues. Do I have any announcements and consideration of future agenda items? There being none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor? Aye. We're out of here. Max.